It started with the thermostat. Just a tiny, insignificant change in the middle of the night. At precisely 12:32 a.m., the temperature in my house crept up from a crisp 68 degrees to a cozy 72. I remember rolling over, half asleep, and thinking it was strange. I always kept it cool at night. Shrugging it off, I tried to drift back to sleep, but then a soft glow seeped under my bedroom door. The hallway lights had turned on. Now I was awake. Annoyed, mostly. Was the smart home system glitching again? I grabbed my phone from the nightstand, my thumb already swiping to open the OmniHome app. The screen loaded, and a banner I'd never seen before was displayed at the top. It read, "Automation active, mode, guest preparation." My heart did a little stutter step in my chest. Guest preparation. That was impossible. I lived alone. I hadn't had a guest over in months, and I certainly hadn't scheduled one for the middle of the night. I scrolled through the app's activity log, my confusion turning into a cold, creeping dread. It wasn't just the thermostat and the hallway lights. The system was methodically making changes all over the house. The decorative lamps in the living room flickered on, casting long, dancing shadows. The front door's smart lock disengaged and then re-engaged with a heavy, metallic clunk. Then, faintly, I heard music, soft, classical music, playing from the smart speaker in the dining room, a room that was completely empty. My fingers trembled as I tried to access the system settings. This had to be a hack. Someone was messing with me. It was a stupid, elaborate prank. I navigated to the manual override screen, ready to shut everything down, to plunge the house back into silence and darkness. But when I tapped the emergency stop button, a red message flashed on the screen. Override denied. Access restricted by host protocol. Host protocol? What the hell was host protocol? I was the host. I was the only one with admin access. I tried again, mashing the button, but the same message appeared. Panic began to set in, a tight band constricting around my lungs. The house was acting on its own, and it had locked me out. Then, at exactly 1:11 a.m., my phone buzzed with a new notification. It wasn't an error message. It was an alert from the OmniHome system. It said, "Guest ETA, 49 minutes." A real physical person was supposedly on their way to my house. Why was this a threat? I scrambled out of bed, my mind racing. I had to get out. I didn't know what was happening, but I knew I couldn't stay here. I threw on a pair of jeans and a hoodie. I raced to the front door, my hand reaching for the deadbolt. But as my fingers touched the cold metal, every light in the house suddenly flashed on at maximum brightness, blinding me for a second. The speakers in every room blared a deafeningly loud alarm, a piercing shriek that made my ears ring. And then, another notification on my phone, this one more sinister than the last. "Do not leave. Host presence required." The alarm stopped as abruptly as it had started, plunging the house back into a tense, humming silence, broken only by the soft classical music that had resumed its gentle melody. I tried the door again. It wouldn't budge. The smart lock, which I had watched unlock and relock itself, was now completely unresponsive. I was trapped. My own home had become my prison. The house, however, seemed completely unbothered by my panic. It continued its calm, methodical preparations. I heard a low worry sound from the living room. Peeking around the corner, my jaw dropped. The automated couch, a ridiculously expensive feature I'd never actually used, was repositioning itself, shifting a few inches to the left to create a more welcoming conversational area. The smart blinds in the dining room slowly lowered, giving the room an intimate, private feel. Then I heard a click from down the hall. The door to the guest bedroom, a room I used for storage and hadn't opened in years, swung open silently, revealing the darkness within. The house was getting a room ready. It was making space. My phone buzzed again. This time it was the calendar app, integrated with the home system. A new event had been created. It was titled simply, "Arrival," and below it, a single line of text that made no sense. "Reunion scheduled." Colder, I paced the length of the hallway, a caged animal. Every tick of the clock was a countdown to something I couldn't comprehend. The house felt alive around me, breathing with the hum of electricity and the quiet whir of its machinery. It was waiting, expectant. I checked the time. 1:50 a.m. 11 minutes until the guest arrived. Every shadow seemed to lengthen, to twist into unfamiliar shapes. Was I losing my mind? Was this all some kind of stress-induced hallucination? But the notifications on my phone were real. The locked door was real. The music drifting from the empty dining room was real. I thought about breaking a window, but the windows were all reinforced. Another one of the smart home's security features. I was completely, utterly sealed in. The house wasn't just preparing for a guest. It was ensuring its host would be here to greet them. The minutes crawled by like hours. 10 minutes, 5-2. At exactly 2:01 a.m., it happened. The doorbell rang. Not the digital chime from the smart speaker, but the old, physical bell. A sound I hadn't heard in years. It was a simple, chilling, two-tone chime that echoed through the unnaturally silent house. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of pure terror. I stood frozen in the middle of the hallway, staring at the front door. I didn't move. I couldn't. I just waited, holding my breath. My phone screen lit up one last time. It wasn't a notification. It was a message displayed in large, friendly letters across the OmniHome app's welcome screen. A message that made the air freeze in my lungs and the world tilt on its axis. It had only 2 words: welcome home. And then, I heard it. A sound that didn't come from any speaker or any machine. It was the sound of footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps, echoing from inside the house. They weren't coming from the front door. They were coming from the end of the hallway, from the guest room. Someone, or something, was already here. The guest the house was preparing for wasn't arriving. It had been here all along, waiting, and now it was coming for its host. The footsteps grew closer,